I was reading 2 Peter chapter 2 last night. It was talking about false prophets. And it really hit me because 2 Peter 2 verse 19, for it says, they promise freedom, but they themselves are a slave to corruption and sin. For whatever controls you, that's what you are a slave to, basically. And my question is, what's controlling you? Is it sin? Is it God? Is it darkness? Is it light? And recently I've been struggling really hard to battle off sin. And there's times where it has been in control of me for at times. And, I've got to ask myself, all the journey, the amount of changes I've made in my life with God and seeing where He's worked in my life. But then there's some places where the devil can attack and attack and attack. And it can be so difficult trying to battle it yourself. So my question to you is, what's controlling you? Is it the light or the dark? And the only way to fight this off is let God control you. Don't let sin control us. Let's not be a slave to sin. Let's be a slave to righteousness, as the Bible says. Let us be a slave to Christ. It's not easy. It really isn't easy. And that really hit me because I'm struggling with sin. We all are. We're all human beings. None of us is perfect. And it's not easy. I've tried so much. Even I'm telling you, when you're making so much progress with God, the devil is going to attack harder and harder. So much more. Through anything. He will use anything. Especially social media. Look how perverted social media is nowadays. It's tough, but you got to have God's arm on you. Let God control you. Don't let sin control you. Sin separates us from God. It creates a distance away from God. Sin is a comfortable thing. It's a comfortable state. It's enjoyable. But God's uncomfortable with that. Let's see things through God's perspective. Let's want God's needs rather than our own needs. And that's what will really, really help. Because, man, when I realize I'm doing a few things alone and God doesn't like it, I need to remember that, okay, God doesn't like it, why am I doing it? Simple as that. If God doesn't want that, if God calls us to live holy lives, why are we doing unholy things? And it's not easy, but we need God, and that's where Jesus comes in. He beat death. He's trampled on death. He trampled on sin. He trampled on Satan and rose from the dead 3 days later. Him walking up to the cross was victory. It wasn't a loss. We gained more. His wounds are able to heal our relationship with God. And that's what He did 2,000 years ago. So remember, guys. And for me, when I talk about 2 Peter chapter 2, I don't want to be seen as a false prophet. That's my biggest fear. I don't want to lead people away from God. I don't want any of my videos doing that. And I hope I'm doing a good job. And I think I am. But that's my fear. Becoming a false prophet. Reading a false gospel. Reading things that are not even in the Bible. I don't want to preach that ever. And that's why I need God to be there. And that's why I'm very, very strict with adding every single Bible verse I say. I need to add it so you guys can see and read it for yourselves back at home. Because it's so easy to fall astray. It's so easy to just let anyone say anything and we can fall for it. But with God, we can detect the false prophets, the false spirits. The Bible says to test the spirits. 1 John. So I just want you guys to know that I'm still a work in progress. We all still are. There's not an end. There's not a finish line with God, because there's always more. There's always more. There's always more answers. There's always more finding out. There's always more things you don't know about yourself that God knows that He can bring out of you. It's a spiritual battle. It's a long war, man. We underestimate Satan. This guy knows the word. He knows the word. He was one of the angels. This guy knows the Bible. This guy knows. So we must be able to know is which one's perverted, which one isn't. We've got to be able to know. And plus, we've got to be able to fight him off. And what is controlling you? Is it sin or God? Choose God all the way. Choose Jesus. I hope this video made sense, and God bless you all.